We now know the cause of death for Oscar winner Gene Hackman and his wife, who were found dead last week in their Santa Fe home. Officials say Hackman's wife died of hantavirus pulmonary syndrome. That's a rodent-borne illness. Hackman likely died of heart disease and Alzheimer's days later. They say it's possible Hackman wasn't aware his wife died several days earlier, and he was in poor health by the time he died. A worker discovered the 95-year-old, his wife, and a dog dead in their home while coming in for routine maintenance. The deaths were suspicious enough to warrant this investigation.
Well, after he didn't sign the executive order to begin dismantling the Department of Education yesterday, the president is signaling that move could come soon. While speaking from the Oval Office before the press today, President Trump was asked about the state of the labor market and whether the DOGE cuts will eventually have an impact. The president said the lack of government jobs will actually be good for the economy and went on to use the Department of Education as an example.
You look at Department of Education, it seems like so many buildings I ride by, it says Department of Education. They're all over the place. And we don't even want it. We want the education to be given by the states. It'll be much better. It'll move us to the top of the list from the bottom of the list.
Now here's what the elimination of the department could mean for borrowers.
The financial arm of the department makes loans directly to borrowers, managing trillions of dollars in student debt. So if the Trump administration succeeds in ending the department, some programs and funding could be retained and shifted to other agencies. In Project 2025's vision, old loans would move to the Treasury Department, which could be a rocky transition. Project 2025 also favors phasing out income-based repayment plans, which helps borrowers lower their monthly loan payments by making them proportional to their wages and salaries.
Also at that press conference, the president said Russia holds all the cards when it comes to Ukraine. He also made a social media post today saying he's considering tougher sanctions on the Kremlin unless it agrees to a ceasefire and peace settlement with Ukraine. Moscow responded to the threat, saying new sanctions won't stop Russia from achieving its goal. All of this as Ukrainian soldiers begin to feel the effects of a pause in the sharing of U.S. intelligence with their country.
For the first time, we are seeing key evidence in the case against Bryan Kohberger, the man accused of killing 4 University of Idaho students 2 years ago. Texts between 2 of the victims' roommates show they discussed seeing a man with a ski mask in their home around the time of the killings. They texted in the early morning hours and placed unanswered phone calls to all 4 victims. This as one of the 911 calls, one of them has been made public. The roommates are expected to be critical witnesses in Kohberger's trial, which will begin in August.
All right, meteorologist Blaze Keller here for a look at your first warn forecast. Some reprieve from this winter weather coming soon, isn't that right?
That's right. We are looking at a pretty dry week ahead, and because of that, we're going to be generally mild, hanging out in the 40s tomorrow, the 50s on Sunday, 60s Monday. We ease back into the 50s as we head into the middle of next week, but Friday and Saturday, going into your St. Patrick's Day weekend, we're looking at the return of 60s and maybe our first chance for not only thunderstorms, but maybe 1 or 2 severe thunderstorms. We'll take a look at that in just a moment. But for your weekend, we're not forecasting any rain or snow or a mix of either. Partly sunny conditions to mostly sunny conditions from Saturday to Sunday. Breezy at times on Sunday, southwesterly winds. Generally speaking, our winds are going to be out of the southwest throughout the weekend, and that's going to allow our temperatures to really warm on up, especially on Sunday with those more sunny conditions. But get out and enjoy this weekend if you've been inside, kind of hiding from that wintry mess in the middle of last week, and then, of course, our snow that was wrapping up today. Bigger picture, a high pressure system is pushing our latest low off towards the east. Partly sunny conditions on Saturday, a little bit more cloud cover off towards Green Bay across northern parts of Wisconsin. So if you're going to be heading up further north this weekend, it may be less sunny on Saturday, but we see more sunshine as we go into your Sunday, especially through the first half of the day. The warm up on Monday is because a low pressure system is going to stay off to our north, but the winds with it are going to continue to bring up that warmth, allowing our temperatures to get into the 60s as we kick off our next work week. But as I mentioned, we're staying mild and dry as we go into the next couple of days. In fact, all of next week does look to be generally dry, but we are going to continue to sit underneath a wetter than normal weather pattern type setup. And our next big system doesn't look to arrive until we go into the start of your St. Patrick's Day weekend. So we got future track all the way out to not this Saturday, but the following Saturday at about 2:30 in the afternoon. This is a very healthy low pressure system, and it's been consistently showing up in our long range models. So the confidence is there that it's likely going to move through the Midwest. But because we're still a ways away, it's going to continue to bounce around. But what we're seeing here is a very healthy low. We've got the center of low pressure, an occluded front, the cold front, and the warm front there. What's an occluded front? It's just a fancy way of saying that the cold air has caught up to the center of the low. It doesn't mean much other than it does show that the low will actually start to weaken. But to get the occlusion, it has to be strong. So it's kind of like it's going to hurt itself as it moves through the Midwest. But because this is going to be a healthy system, it's going to be pulling moisture out of the Gulf, mixing in with some of this cooler air just off to our north. We may actually see our first chance for maybe some severe weather as we head into Friday and Saturday of your upcoming work week. So stay with News 3 Now. We will keep you updated. And with our warmer temperatures, the ground is going to start to thaw out, which is some good news because with that rain that we could receive on Friday into next Saturday, we're going to hopefully scale back a lot of these dry conditions. Now, almost 90% of the state is abnormally dry. The yellow here with over half the state underneath moderate drought conditions carrying over from last year. So the rain on Friday and Saturday, if all things hold together, will really hopefully help scale back some of these drought conditions in time for spring. In the meantime, dry tomorrow, mid to upper 40s to low 50s. Could see some low 50s popping up across southwestern parts of the state because that's where we're going to be seeing more sunshine than further north and east. 60s on Monday after we spring forward an hour on Sunday. Low 50s Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. And then there's that next system bringing us that chance for showers and thunderstorms Friday and Saturday of next week. We may even see our first 70s of the year by next Friday for some of us. And then it does look like St. Patrick's Day is going to be dry with the low 40s for highs.
Thank you, Blaze. A recent review in the Journal of American Medical Association by UW-Madison experts shows people who do life-saving work are more likely to experience pregnancy complications.
Up to 82% of pregnant surgeons face higher complications of miscarriage, preterm delivery, and even infertility. The numbers are startling, but the review's leader says they weren't surprising. She joins us now, Dr. Tiffany Glazer. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Hi. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, so why do you think this is more of an issue for surgeons than perhaps other people?
I think, well, there's multiple reasons. One is the environment that we work in, the OR itself, and the type of work that we do. It's long hours. Often we don't take breaks. We don't take care of ourselves, and that's not something that a pregnant surgeon should do for sure. And then the second aspect is just the long hours that we work. We take call, 24-hour call, multiple call days in a row, work long hours, upwards of 80 hours a week, and so combination of both of those factors make the risks for surgeons unique.
Yeah, it's grueling because I imagine no one wants to let anyone down.
Exactly.
And then they push themselves, yeah.
Exactly. You know, and there also is this culture within surgery that you don't want to seem weak, and I think especially there are fewer women in surgery, and so I feel like there's extra pressure sometimes to sort of not feel like you can't do it, and that puts both the mother and the fetus at risk for sure. So.
And that's, you were one of those women who are, surgeons. Tell me a little about your experience being a mother of two and, being pregnant while doing your job.
It was definitely challenging. I, like many pregnant surgeons, experienced some musculoskeletal issues. So I had carpal tunnel. My hands would be numb and painful. So that was kind of challenging to deal with, and didn't take care of myself enough during those times. With my second pregnancy, I was pretty lucky. I was okay. But it's personal experiences as well as seeing the experiences of your colleagues that prompted us to want to make a difference, really.
Yeah. So with this information on our minds, what do you think our local hospitals can do to fight this issue?
I think the best thing that we can do is provide guidelines and show that these pregnant women that we do support any accommodation that they need. Often we are our own enemies, and so if we promote the culture and the environment that it is appropriate and okay to ask for these accommodations, and these are the accommodations we suggest, I think that's the best thing that we can do for pregnant surgeons.
Are there any disparities among pregnant surgeons that you found in this?
Disparities, meaning, I'm sorry, can you just...
Racial, ethnic disparities, that sort of thing.
You know, there's not a lot of data on this to begin with. To be honest, with our study, we looked at pregnant surgeons as well as other jobs that experience similar issues, such as like flight attendants, nurses with the shift work. So there's just there's not a large amount of data on pregnant surgeons themselves, and we were not able to parse it out further than that.
One thing I imagine, is this study helpful because perhaps someone wants to go into this field and they think, that's a barrier, I don't want to deal with that. Is this helpful in eliminating some barriers?
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubt that medical students nowadays are definitely thinking about work-life balance way more than medical students used to. And so showing medical students that they can have a safe and healthy pregnancy is really important. We don't want any talented woman to not go into this field.
Thank you very much for being on with us for this conversation.
Thank you. Thank you.
Appreciate it.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, the weather might be nice this weekend, but that doesn't mean you can't stay in and watch a movie.
Will Loper shows us what's new to streaming when Live at 4 returns.
Rumor has it, there's a new Cate Blanchett movie streaming this weekend.
I wonder what it's called.
Oh, you'll find out.
But if you're feeling more like a Daredevil, a dark and gritty superhero show returns. Will Loper has a look in the Loper Report.
A lot of time has passed. By the look of it, you've come up in the world.
I could say the same about you.
Return to the dark and gritty world of Daredevil in Daredevil Born Again, newly streaming on Disney+.
I can't shake the feeling that you're gaming the system.
Why did you stop being a vigilante?
The line was crossed.
A continuation of the Netflix series, Charlie Cox returns as Matt Murdock, the blind hero facing off against Winston Fisk, played by Vincent D'Onofrio.
Sometimes peace needs to be broken.
Look at us, the esteemed leaders of each of these great nations.
We are also here to produce a draft of a provisional statement regarding the present crisis. We should not forget that.
Watch Cate Blanchett, Charles Dance, and more as world leaders lost in the woods and facing off against bog monsters in the 2024 satirical film Rumors, newly streaming on Paramount+.
What were they then? Terrorists? They loomed threateningly. Protesters.
That's what I thought too at first.
My boys, if you're seeing this, it means the unthinkable has happened. Time to learn how you'll make real money.
This is how your father's business works.
And discover a secret life of crime in Deli Boys, newly streaming on Hulu.
Dad was a fraud, a drug dealer, and possibly a murderer.
Everybody's got flaws, Mir. I love him even more knowing he wasn't perfect.
After their father dies, two spoiled brothers must take up their dad's unsavory business.
There's a gun in the credenza. Finish him off now.
What?
What part of this are you not understanding?
Credenza, if I'm being honest, I don't think I know what that is.
For Live at 4, I'm Will Loper.
Anything catch your eye?
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know what a credenza is either.
What? You said stuff on it. It's like a little...
Just call it a table. Why you gotta make up words?
Controversy.
Yeah.
Armand has said his piece. All right, well, I'll start calling everything a table now.
Thank you.
In honor, okay.
Yes.
Whew, that was a close one.
Yes, I know. Well, coming up on Live at 4, why protesters were at the Capitol today.
And the consequences of UW Health and Anthem not making a deal. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now, live at 4, moving forward.
Oh my gosh.
It says it all.
Yeah, it's like we're back in December again. Look at this, but not for long.
Not for long, because the weather words are pleasant weekend ahead. Blaze, that sounds pretty good to us.
It is going to be a very nice weekend. More sunshine, 40s and 50s by Sunday, 40s on Saturday, and 60s arrive on Monday. We're already starting to see some clearing skies here outside on the weather patio. We're going to watch as the cloud cover slowly chips away as we head further into your Friday late afternoon through the evening. So we are expecting temperatures to be a little bit on the cooler side tonight. Your 12-hour planner taking you through about 8 p.m. when we'll eventually settle into those low 30s. By about 8, maybe as late as 9, we sit underneath mostly clear to clear conditions, and then we'll further cool into those upper 20s, eventually settling into those upper teens to low 20s as we head into the overnight hours. But for now, upper 30s to low 40s for most of southeastern Wisconsin. But once you get into Boscobel, Lone Rock, the Dells, further north and west where we've had more sunshine, we're in those low, even mid-40s. In La Crosse, it's 46, 37 in Madison, 40 in the Dells, 34 in Mineral Point, it's 38 in Cross Plains, and 39 in Sauk City. So we talked about the rain chance, how we're not really expecting much until Friday of next week. We'll take a look at what our temperatures are going to be like for this upcoming work week in the full forecast.
All right, Blaze, thank you. UW Health's contract negotiations with Anthem Blue Cross Blue Shield of Wisconsin hit a snag last week, and if a new deal is not reached, UW Health would no longer be in network for Anthem insurance customers, plunging many patients in the Madison area, including those who need complex care, into uncertainty.
Ooh, I know one.
Deborah Schultz cares for her 20-year-old daughter, Michaela, who was diagnosed with Phelan-McDermid syndrome as a baby. Because of the rare genetic disorder, she is developmentally a 2-year-old, can't speak, and requires her mom and a complex care team of 20 UW Health physicians to help with MRIs, upper respiratory problems, seizures, and more. But if UW leaves Anthem's network, Deborah says the only other hospital with experience treating someone with Phelan-McDermid is in Milwaukee.
Well, the rug is definitely getting swept out from underneath my feet for sure. You know, I've advocated really hard for her for 20 years. I've fought doctors, I've fired doctors, I've hired doctors, I've interviewed doctors. It just puts me on edge of my seat. I'm nervous and I'm worried. I'm concerned about my daughter's health.
If the two sides don't reach a deal, facilities affected on April 15th include Madison Surgery Center, Generations Fertility Care, UW Health Rehab Hospital, and Unity Point Meritor. Now, the UW Health Administration claims Anthem proposed increasing UW Health's reimbursement rate, quote, far below the rate of inflation, and the insurer wanted to be able to change payment terms without having to renegotiate, which the hospital says could put patient care at risk. Anthem says UW Health is requesting a 32% price increase over 3 years for its members that they call unprecedented and irresponsible. Both sides say they continue negotiating in hopes of reaching an agreement. Tune in for the full story tonight at 6.
Wisconsin's Attorney General is suing the Trump administration for ending grant funds for programs that train K-12 teachers. The U.S. Department of Education has terminated more than $600 million in teacher training grants. That's already having an effect here in Madison, where a program that trains UW grad students to be special educators is without funding in February. In February, members of the program received an email from the Ed Department saying it was losing funding because it takes part in diversity, equity, and inclusion initiatives. Upon announcing he was joining a coalition suing the administration over the cuts, Attorney General Josh Kaul said in part, as this case shows, wildly cutting grant funding without any serious deliberation has real-world consequences. The court should step in and put a halt to the Trump administration's attempt to eliminate this grant funding that's helping address the teacher shortage.
This week, a federal judge blocked the Trump administration from drastically cutting medical research funding that many scientists say will hurt patients and cost jobs. As lawsuits against the administration over NIH funds make their way through the courts, UW leaders are bringing attention to the life-saving research being conducted with the money. And today, hundreds of supporters of the cause came out to the Capitol for a rally. The Stand Up for Science rally took place between 12 and 3, and organizers said their goal was to highlight the research for and advocate for the restoration of funds. Again, whether or not the administration can legally cut off those funds is still making its way through the courts.
Today, Wisconsin Elections Commissions met to determine the fate of the investigation into Madison's 193 missing absentee ballots from November from the election, and the Madison clerk's role in the mistake. Those missing ballots were spread across wards 56, 65, and 68. Elia Liberté was at today's meeting, and she breaks down why the commission chair says that she still has questions.
This 13-page memo by Elections Commission staff shows how 193 absentee ballots went uncounted in the November election. But it also shows there are still a lot of unanswered questions. That's why the WEC voted unanimously today to continue the investigation. In the investigation, staff find that Madison City Clerk Mary Beth Weitzel-Bell fails to implement policies to double-check that all ballots were counted. It also finds communication flaws between the city and county clerk's office and the WEC once the missing ballots were discovered. Staff still don't know how the uncounted absentee ballot bags went unnoticed and where those bags were located at the polling place on Election Day. Although the missing votes weren't enough to change the outcome of any race, commissioners say the actions by the city clerk's office are troubling.
193 people were denied their constitutional right.
As clerk, someone had alerted me to these ballots. I would have been personally calling the county clerk.
I am genuinely shocked by this timeline, and I really do have a lot of questions about what all was going on that allowed for this.
In a statement, the city of Madison says it will conduct its own internal review, saying in part, quote, "The city completely agrees with statements from the commissioners that every legal ballot needs to be counted accurately. The clerk's office has already implemented new procedures and safeguards to ensure this never happens again." Commissioners also voted today to draft guidelines for clerks across the state to prevent situations like this one from occurring on the upcoming April 1st election. Reporting at the state capitol, Ellie Liberté, News 3 Now.
Thanks, Ellie. Today's decision also comes on the heels of a potential class action lawsuit against the Madison and Dane County clerks. Progressive law firm Law Forward announced on Thursday it will seek legal action over the uncounted ballots.
A jobs report out today shows the U.S. economy added 151,000 jobs last month. It's the first full month tally of the labor market under President Trump's second term. That was lower than expected. Economists predicted 160,000 jobs would be added. Economists expect the full effect of the administration's federal worker purge is yet to come. But Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell says the report is not enough to erase the downturns the economy has seen the past week. He said that how the economy responds to Trump's movements will determine the Fed's decision on cutting rates. U.S. stocks did close a bit higher today, though. The Dow is up 223 points, the Nasdaq gained 127, and the S&P 500 is up 32. It marks the end of a brutal week for Wall Street, its worst since September.
The week's losses were in part driven by the ever-changing aspect of the president's tariff policy. After enacting 25% tariffs on Canada and Mexico earlier this week, the president pushed them back by a month. Now, Mexico's economy minister says the country's officials will meet with U.S. trade officials next week to discuss tariffs on steel and aluminum imports.
Well, coming up on Live at 4, if you don't have plans this weekend, you're in luck.
Josh Sprider has 3 things for you and your family to do this weekend in the 608. What day is it?
Oh boy,
it's Friday! That means it's the weekend. It's practically here in the 608.
Yeah, I think it's here right now.
Yeah, let's celebrate now.
Yeah,
you have our permission.
There we go. We'll just let Josh Spider take this one as he helps us plan 3 things to do with the family.
Spring is in the air, and with March comes the madness, of course, and we have an opportunity for you to support the Badgers this weekend. Wisconsin basketball is set to host Penn State on Saturday in their final regular season game. This is one of the best Badger men's basketball team in the last 10 years, ranked number 12 in the AP Top 25 right now. So here's your opportunity to check them out for yourself ahead of the Big Ten tourney in Indy next week. Tickets are still available for the noon tip-off at the Kohl Center, but even if you can't make it to the game, take an opportunity to post up at a local sports bar or business and give them support as well. Then it's a win-win all the way around. Southern Wisconsin's largest bicycle sales at the Alliant Energy Center this weekend. Bike-O-Rama is offering the lowest discounted prices you'll see all year, along with opportunities to comparison shop, test ride, accessorize, and buy from countless bicycle brands. It is free to attend, but parking costs $8 for the day. They're open Friday 10 to 8, Saturday 8 to 8, and Sunday 10 to 5. Over at Easttown Mall, check out the Madison Comic and Toy Show this weekend. The celebration of pop culture will spread throughout the mall, taking place during normal mall hours on Saturday and Sunday. You'll be able to check out comics, posters, vintage video games, action figures, and other geeky goodies. It is a free event. You can find more happenings this weekend in the 608 on channel3000.com. For Live at 4, I'm Josh Sprider.
Thank you, Josh. And this Saturday is the annual food drive from Scouting America.
Scouts will pick up non-perishable food donations left on doorsteps. Some troops will host food drive collection events at local grocery stores. All donations go to food pantries like the Second Harvest Food Bank, Sunshine Place Emergency Food Pantry, and more.
Service is a part of Scouting, and it's one that I think the youth and the adults enjoy.
Scouts will pick up non-perishable food donations left on doorsteps beginning at 9 tomorrow morning. If you have any perishable foods to donate, leave them out by that time.
And tickets go on sale tomorrow for the Wisconsin Film Festival.
Ooh, the event takes place the week of April 3rd. The festival's in part hosted by UW-Madison. The goal, to promote and exhibit programs showcasing the art and history of world cinema. You can buy your tickets at wifilmfest.org at noon tomorrow.
Oh, look at that. I love a good film fest.
I do too.
Yeah. Well, coming up on Live at 4, when a family couldn't find its dog, a bird's eye view did the trick.
We'll show you how the search took to the sky and where they found the missing pooch. Well, we're taking a look at San Antonio, Texas. Oh my goodness, it's 86 and sunny there. Why can't it be 86 and sunny here?
I don't know, Blaze. I don't know. Why can't it be? No, I'm kidding. We are going to be getting up to the 60s, though.
We are, yes. We've got a couple chances for 60s in the forecast. The first one is going to be Monday, and then as we look to end next week, Friday and Saturday, we'll once again be in the 60s, maybe even squeeze out our first 70s of the season. But that comes with a much larger system that we're going to continue to keep an eye on as we go throughout next week. The good news is next week is going to be quiet, so temperatures are going to stay on the more mild side, some clouds here and there, but we don't really see any big systems or any rainmakers move in until Friday and Saturday of next week. So this weekend, looking at mid-40s on Saturday, mid-50s on Sunday, both days southwesterly winds, a little bit more breezy on Sunday and a little bit more sunshine on Sunday. So that's going to allow our temperatures to get out of the 40s and hang out in those 50s as we look to end the weekend. And the 60s arrive as we go into the start of your next work week. So that will make returning to work maybe just that much easier. Partly sunny conditions on your Saturday, a little bit more cloud cover further north and east. So if you're heading up to Green Bay, Door County this weekend, or northeastern parts of Wisconsin, probably going to be more mostly to partly sunny. And then as we step ahead into your Sunday, less partly sunny conditions, more sunshine. I think Future Track is bringing in a little bit more cloud cover than what we will actually see. And then our warm up on Monday is because a low pressure system is going to be quickly moving through southern parts of Canada. Again, southwesterly winds pull up that warmth, takes our temperatures from the 50s on your Sunday into those 60s on Monday. That cold front passes, cools us off a little bit, but we still stay in those 50s, not only Tuesday and Wednesday, but Thursday as well. That next big system we're keeping an eye on warms us into those mid-60s on Friday. Saturday, still in the 60s. And then because we're still transitioning out of winter, we're back into the 40s as we head into your Sunday and then into your St. Patrick's Day. But the long-range confidence level for the warmer than normal temperatures looks to stick around through at least the next 6 to 10 days. We're at a 70 to 80% chance of sitting underneath warmer than average temperatures from the 13th through the 17th, which is the end of our extended forecast. Well, we're in those mid-60s on your Friday and then the low 60s on Saturday. If we extend that out even further, now we're into the middle, beginning towards the end of March, still looking at a 30 to 40% chance of sitting underneath warm temperatures. So the confidence isn't as strong as we get further out, which is to be expected, but we're not seeing any major cool downs or maybe on the opposite side of that, any major warm-ups towards the end of March. So if you've been tired of the wintry mess, I know we just got out of 2 rounds of it. We have quiet conditions for your Saturday. Mid to upper 40s to low 50s, probably further south and west because we're going to see more sunshine. Easily we could get into those upper 40s to the low 50s. Mid 50s on Sunday, we spring forward. So we do lose an hour of sleep, but we get to the 60s that much sooner. And then as I mentioned, we're into the low 50s Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday before thunderstorms, rain return, and the 60s as well as we kick off your St. Patrick's Day weekend.
A Chippewa Valley dog was close to death, missing and stranded on a patch of ice near Lake Wissota. But this is our Feel Good Friday story, so don't worry. It has a happy ending thanks to the help of a drone and some perseverance.
There we go. Thank goodness. Duke is an energetic English lab that's been a part of the Arneson family for 12 years. But 1 week ago, he didn't return after being let outside. After searching and searching, the Arnesons called Dave Whitehouse, a retired firefighter who uses a high-resolution drone with thermal imaging to find lost animals, and he zoomed in there. My goodness. They found Duke half a mile from the Arneson house, stranded on the ice patch.
When he pulled the dog off of the ice, you can actually see a hole where the dog had melted all the way through the ice. So I don't know how much longer it would have been, and then it was all ice downstream from there, so I don't know that we would have ever known what happened.
Oh, thank goodness. Duke was treated for severe hypothermia and a kidney and bladder infection. He is expected to make a full recovery, though, and is back with his family. Give Duke all the treats.
Ooh. I have 2 dogs, so obviously I'm like,
yeah,
that's my worst fear.
Go check on them. Have your drone ready just in case. Well, if you'd like to share. Oh, okay, Jinx.
If you have a story you'd like to share, you can submit it to Run by emailing tips@channel3000.com with the subject line Feel Good Friday.
All right, and we're feeling a little wintry this Friday.
It has been a wintry Friday. We are saying goodbye to the snow, and we are set for clear conditions tonight. Your 12-hour planner taking you into the evening. We're looking at the low 30s by 8 o'clock underneath clear conditions, and as we head into those early morning hours on Saturday, slipping into those low 20s underneath clear conditions, and we're in the 40s on Saturday, 50s on Sunday, 60s on Monday. All 3 days expecting plenty of sunshine.
March for Science. Well, thanks for watching Live at 4. We hope to see you right back here on Monday. News 3 Now at 5 starts right now.